Come honeymoon with us in Greece. Okay, so first things first, we got our rental car and drove to our little Airbnb. This is a quick little tour. It was so cute and we had the best hosts. When we checked in, there was actually a homemade cake for us to eat. It was so delicious. We saved it for later on in the trip. And most of all, the jacuzzi. Not a hot tub because it did not get hot, but the jacuzzi, it was phenomenal. This is the view from our Airbnb. We stayed in Pyrgos and it was so lovely to just be able to look out and see the whole city. We took it easy our first day. We had a lot of jet lag from our flight. We grabbed dinner and went to the Akrotiri Lighthouse, which I will show you more about later. The next morning, we woke up around 6 a.m. on accident, but we got to watch the sunrise while we did our Bible study, and it was so nice to just look out over the water and watch the sunrise. Then we were really close to Fira, so we went into Fira and explored the city a little bit. We ate at the most phenomenal restaurant that overlooked the water, and you could just see all of the iconic buildings and just a really beautiful view. Next up, we took a drive down the mountain to Red Beach. How's it going?
It's going great.
And we hiked around. It's a little bit difficult to get to, but the view is definitely worth it.
Oh, okay, never mind. That's a little cold.
You're cold?
It's cold. We have to get our car up a mountain.
So we accidentally drove the wrong way to Red Beach and went down kind of like a side back way to get there and drove down a mountain, which was a little bit scary in our Toyota Yaris rental car. And then we went to go eat dinner at Gaz. It was okay. To be honest, it was probably our least favorite meal of the trip, but we made up for it the next morning when we ate at our favorite restaurant of the trip, which was Cuckoo Cafe and Lounge Bar. It was amazing. I got a waffle with Greek yogurt and fruit and graham crackers, and my husband got an omelet, and we had the most amazing coffee. We got mochachinos, which we ended up ordering the rest of the trip. How do we like it?
10 out of 10.
How do we feel about it?
That's a
Something that we didn't like so much, though, was the traditional Greek coffee that we tried.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10.
Maybe negative.
Yeah.
It was so strong, and just not. It just didn't hit us quite right. Okay, but the coffee though.
10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, amazing. We spent almost the rest of our day exploring the town of Ia, which is the classic city that you think of when you think of Santorini, Greece. It's got all the white buildings filled with shops and places to walk around and eat, which is just gorgeous. So we spent some time soaking up the views. While in Ia, we decided to take the trek down to Ammoudi Bay, which basically is 278 steps down in the hot sun to get to a little strip at the bottom full of restaurants. But we decided that this was honestly probably one of our favorite parts of Santorini because the views at the bottom are so breathtaking. The water, the sights. I will say the way back up was pretty brutal, but I think in the end we decided that it was definitely worth it. What do you think? Was the hike worth it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so those are the stairs. Woof. Something really fun about Greece in general is that there are little cats everywhere, all over the island. They're so cute and sweet, and they just lay out in the sun, so you'll definitely make some feline friends. After walking around in the hot sun for quite a bit, we decided to stop in at Lolita's, and it was phenomenal. Something that I'm really glad that we decided to do was to get a rental car. It allowed us to beat bop around the island as we please, which was really nice. And after seeing how public transportation worked, I'm really glad we did that. Some things to be mindful of is driving in Greece is a little bit chaotic. The Vespas like to yeet right in front of you. The roads are winding. But overall, it was a really great experience. Next up, it was time to head to Pyrgos' castle, which is basically like this really beautiful structure that you walk up and there's little shops in it, but you get a gorgeous view of the island. We really enjoyed coming up to it. It wasn't as much walking as we thought, and then we sat at the top at Franco's.
Mom, I know fighting, the one you love, through fighting, just you.
And we ordered a meat and cheese olive kind of platter along with fresh squeezed orange juice, which you have to do while you're in Greece. You have to get some of that fresh squeezed orange juice because it is to die for. We were so tired from walking around, so we just kind of sat, looked out at the view, and enjoyed just being in such a wonderful, magical place while enjoying our little afternoon snack. After we rested for a bit, we walked a little bit around the top of the castle, which is kind of like hiking and adventuring. There's a lot of different steps and stairs and doorways and different ways that you can go. Finally, to wrap up our day, we headed back to the Akrotiri Lighthouse, which is where we got dinner our first night on the island. We loved it so much, and I had been thinking about the smoothies we got there ever since. So we went back, and we got to explore it a little more in the daylight, which I loved, and I'm so glad we did because we discovered that many couples who visit the island leave their initials in the volcanic rocks, kind of on the edge if you hike out a little bit. So we had an amazing time, and we left our initials, which was fun to add to the community of Santorini lovers.
I love you.
We also spent a really long time just enjoying the sounds of the water, watching birds and ships sail by, which I think is a really underrated part of traveling, at least for me, because I know I like to pack so many things in that I often don't take the time to relax, breathe, and enjoy the view.
All right, Miley Cyrus, you ready for the climb?
I will say the climb back was much harder than the climb down. It was kind of difficult to trek, and I definitely shouldn't have worn heels. But before we left, we made sure to grab some snacks. So we got these chicken pitas with fries in them. They looked kind of processed and American, but they tasted so authentic and real and delicious. The fries in Greece are nothing like the fries in the States. And of course, we got the smoothies that I had not stopped thinking about. My husband got mango, and I got a pina colada pineapple type of deal. It was amazing. The next morning was our very last morning in Santorini, so we got up super early and we went to Pink Sophia Maria, which was this adorable little cafe that we chose based on its location. So we wanted to do the iconic Fira to Ia hike, and of course we had to get one last mochaccino, but it was very, very hot outside. So we opted for ice versions, which were really good, more like a blended drink, which we both enjoyed quite a bit. We did this Skaros rock hike, which is basically the Fira to Ia hike, and we did it from Fira to Ia. There's debate on what's better to do, but locationally and parking, we found that this made the most sense to us. The hike is absolutely beautiful. You start off in the city walking through the buildings and all of the architecture, and then it kind of veers off into stairs. Something that was really funny and apparently iconic about Greece is you can get professional photos taken. It's quite expensive. I think it's like $500 for a photo, but they get your picture in these gorgeous dresses. So that was really fun to see all the people doing that. The hike, once we got on to the big rock, was a little more challenging, and I wish I had worn better shoes. We also did it in the heat of day, so I would recommend getting up much earlier than we did and trying to finish the hike probably by about 10 a.m. We didn't do the full hike, but we did do Skaros Rock, which I've heard is the best part of the hike. And that's really cool. It's kind of off by itself, but you get to see the water view and go into different abandoned churches. This is what it looked like when you looked back on where we came from. A lot of people opt to not do this hike because it is a little bit more exhausting. It's not as dreamy, not as romantic to be sweating, but it gave us such a different experience of the island, especially because Santorini is so much about the town and the water. This is really getting the full culture of Greece, so I would highly, highly recommend. By the time we finished our hike, we were absolutely dripping with sweat. We were so hungry and exhausted, so we ate the cake that was left over from our Airbnb hosts. Absolutely delicious, and we drove down to the port to take the ferry to Milos. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see our Milos and Athens adventures.